All right, cool. We're live. Let me. All right. Server counts thing was still up. Was the last time I streamed really the stress test? It couldn't have been. Really? I know we were. Oh, that's what it was. Because we were gone at the festival, and then I came back and immediately got sick. So it has been a bit. Cool. Hopefully you've been checking out some of the other VODs instead. I think I've been posting some old shit as well. Apologies if you can't hear me very well today. I'll probably get some comments in chat about being too quiet, but this is about all I got. Getting over this head cold. It's now a little bit of a chest thing, but that's good. Hey Talet, Dozakar, Ali, you are always first. You're first in my book. Sorry, Nick, just up list of issues, and I'm taking a look at that. I can read that later. Hey Sarenth, Jimster, your music to voice level is off. Is the music too high? The voice is not going to be very loud tonight, so if I need to turn the music down, let me know. But I'm probably not going to be as loud as normal. Or at least I won't be able to do that for multiple hours, I don't think. I mean, the first song's a little loud anyway. There's a couple songs that are a bit louder. So. Hey, Code and Caffeine. What was I doing? Logging back in. Yeah, so I was out week before last for the festival, out last week sick, and then week after next I'm gonna be traveling to the US, so I think it's week after next, yeah. So next week, then that following week we'll be in the US for the week. Good timing. Been busy at work today. Need some soothing robot vocals. They'll be super soothing today. You'll barely be able to hear them. The sounds of me sniffing some snot. Probably coughing a bit. Dual Eclipse put their demo up on Steam today. I'm interested to see how it plays. Yeah, hop in and check it out. He's a super nice guy. We'll have to make sure that he's got something up in Discord as well to get the word out. Look for Curly Goblin. Look for Curly Goblin in Discord. But hopefully he gets something posted. If he doesn't get something posted, I'll try to remember to post it. Yeah, it's really cool because you know, it started out earlier in the year as just something that he had been. I think he had a bunch of different little like game jam stuff. That one seemed very promising. Hey, Mr. Square Peg. So if you're watching the VOD, Dual Eclipse on Steam. It's a the card tricking based RPG, like dungeon crawler. Sorry. Jimster says, I have to say the last playtest was a blast. Spent it soloing in Wormsbane on my Necro, mapping out top levels in pencil and graph paper. It's fantastic. I'm gonna probably be going back to Fallen Pass. And continuing to work in there tonight. Got some stuff I need to do. Have some things I was playing around with in here earlier today that were kind of fun. I found this nice area that nobody can reach in the map and threw my invisible men in here. It was fun. Basically what I was doing with these guys was, hey Foxy Nuke. I was playing around in very old school fashion. Have it so that I've got two different knobs to manage a specific spawn. I'm not going to tell you what spawn it is because why ruin the surprise. But what I wanted to do was have one invisible man to keep an eye on the weather, and then whatever the weather is in a specific state, it could let the event spawner know, hey, the weather's here. And then the event spawner would do the rest of the work in terms of spawning the actual NPC or NPCs. And then the NPC kind of cleans up on its own, depending on what's going on, like if you kill it or whatever. If you kill it, then it tells the event spawner I've been killed, which will then despawn the event spawner. So it doesn't matter if the weather listener is saying, hey, the weather's here, because there's no event spawner to actually fire it forward. And that allows us to have basically one timer that we could do, if we wanted it to be multiple days or only in certain conditions or whatever that this event's available, then we control it there. Whereas the weather listener is mainly there to then give us a knob to say, is it every time this weather occurs, or does this weather listener fire it off? And then when the weather calms down or the event ends, it basically depops and has its own timer. So then we could say, no matter what the weather is, it's only one weather event per day or per 5 human days or whatever it is, real days, that kind of shit. So was playing around with that just because I was sitting in the barbershop earlier today, and making this has been on my mind for months. And so I was like, I want to actually, so I started mapping it out while I was sitting there in the barbershop, getting my shit trimmed, and then came back and was like, all right, let's see if we can make this work. Ran into some interesting quirks, interesting problems, but for the most part now, it looks like it worked. Kind of cool. Yeah. And then this is on the back of, I think I was just in the mood for this type of thing. Because I had just done some stuff in Fallen Pass that I'm absolutely not going to give you any details on, because more and more stuff starting to pile up that you haven't seen on stream but exists in game, which is nice. But I will say that it was an opportunity for me last night to, because I was just really fixated on getting it done before I went to bed. It was an opportunity to do some stuff with NPCs, where then there's some mud interactions, location-based mud interactions that are also then a bit of a timed puzzle that you've got to figure out, and you've only got a certain amount of time to basically complete each stage, and then that triggers an event. So that was fun last night in Fallen Pass. And I think it's time to go back to Fallen Pass and continue base pop and prop placement, which has been a lot of what I've been doing. I really didn't get anything done last week. I was legit sick. It was the first time in a long time where I just was lay in bed till Jasmine wake up, go to work. I went back to bed till noon or 1 p.m. Woke up delirious. So one of those weeks. Don't fall in. Hey, Ventali. Snail Juice, I am feeling better. How are you doing? Eating around. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I definitely today I feel a lot better than I have in the last week, so that's nice. Just a little bit of snot, a little bit of a cough still in here, but we're good now. It's one of those. It's a really normal cold. You know what I mean? Remember back before 2020 when you could have normal colds? So it's a normal cold. It proceeded, progressed, declined like a normal cold would. So there are no shock. But there were definitely some days where I'm like, oh, this is shitty. Can't wait for this to be over. I think what happened is we've got this nice setup for festivals now where we just rent a cargo van and we've got like a guest mattress that rolls up nicely. We throw it in there, rolled. We throw all of our stuff in there. We got a really wonderful cooler. We've only been using this one tiny cooler forever, but we got a much better cooler. And it was great because we had ice after day 3. We still had ice in there. It was like, so that was pretty tight. Oh, the whole thing with this festival that I mentioned beforehand, that I'm completely forgetting is this is like the first festival we went to where neither one of us were drinking all weekend. Like no alcohol the whole time. The festival was our 1 year mark. Because after the last festival, we were like, I want to do like a 1 year no alcohol challenge. And that blew by. Festival without alcohol. And this was a metal festival that we went to. I think there was probably like 12 or 14 other people that we knew ultimately there. The pretty big crew. Yeah, that's what happened. No disinfectant. That's exactly what happened. No alcohol. I got sick. But that was the only bad part. The whole rest of the festival, like dead sober, was a blast. It was so much fun. I think I had more fun than normal, cause like we go to bed, and I mean a little jacked up on caffeine. There was a really cool. We wound up like in day 2 maybe. Somebody was like, "Hey, check this out." Oh, cause we were drinking like Jasmine had just bought like some coffee from somewhere. And oh yeah, maybe it wasn't. Like we had a coffee and it was like, oh, this is gonna suck, man. Like everybody's drinking, all the booze or alcohol and stuff. We had this coffee, it was like not good. It was just filter coffee. And then somebody came up, one of the guys stumbled up, and he's already shit faced, and he's like, "Hey, this coffee is fantastic. You should taste it." And we're like, "What is this? It's all frothy and beautiful." Like taste it, and we're like, "Where did you get that?" He's like, "There's like this little espresso bar, like it's just one tiny little booth stuffed between all the craziness." And we went there and yeah, it was wonderful. I wound up having like dirty chai lattes with like espresso in them, and Jasmine was like drinking flat whites. We were being super froofy at the metal festival. But dude, it was a godsend. It was fantastic. They were so delicious. And so we'd get done at the end of the night and everybody's just like hammered as usual. And so we'd get back to the camp and we're like making sure everybody's got what they need and cleaning up the camp a little bit so it's not so messy the next day and all this shit. And like everybody's like, you know, we were actually the last ones up the first night, and then and like got everything squared away, and because it was like multiple pavilions strapped together and stuff. And yeah, so the next morning we wake up, we're like the first ones awake, no hangover, energy. We go out, got a badass like camping stove, so it's just like, oh yeah, the neighbors with the music pissed everybody off though. At like 7 in the morning they're blasting music. But yeah, so we're out there and I'm like, Jasmine laughed the whole week leading up to it. I'm like, I've got this giant cast iron skillet, and I was like, I'm taking it. I'm making bacon and eggs and stuff. She's like, oh, you know, isn't that kind of excessive? Well, anyways, got the camping stove out, started boiling up water. We had nice like thermoses and pitchers to keep the water hot. So as people are waking up, we can make sure everybody's got water for the instant coffee and shit. We're like taking care of everybody. And then I'm over there just bacon and eggs in a cast iron skillet, man. We ate so good. Everybody's looking jealous and shit. It was wonderful. Yeah, we had a blast. We had a blast. But I think you're right. The lack of liquor definitely is why I got sick. That was the only thing protecting me from the germs. That and the van, once we got it set up and stuff, I don't like having the door all the way shut because it's a cargo van. There's no windows or whatever. I know we probably won't suffocate, but I was just like, kind of creeps me out a little bit. So I kept the door cracked so that the air is coming in, and I slept closest to the door. So I took one for the team. But it was a dope setup. Like I bought this mosquito net that's kind of like a box. It's like a room. I think it's meant to go over a big bed or something. And we've got these cool magnets that have hooks on them. So we just throw the hooks up and it keeps the mosquito net, like basically maps it out perfectly inside the van. And so when we open the door, it's just like all mosquito netted in. It was a really nice setup. Super custom. So I think that's unless we have to have a tent somewhere with whatever we're doing. Some of the airsoft stuff we're doing looks like it's going to require us to like bring a tent in and stuff like that so we can camp near the headquarters. But for other stuff, we're just going to always use the cargo van. It's a rental, it's cheap, and we've got a really good setup now. Oh yeah, it's the weirdest thing. So Jasmine rented a van and they do a full inspection and didn't see anything wrong with the van. We loaded up the van, didn't see anything wrong with the van, didn't notice anything. Got there, and while we're there, at some point I look and I'm like, is the back taillight, has that always been busted out? And then I looked and there were no taillight pieces anywhere. And so then we go looking around, and in the van, like in the little cubby underneath the glove compartment, all the taillight pieces are sitting there. But we didn't notice it, and it wasn't like it happened while we were there. As we were just like parked and started setting up, that's when we noticed the busted taillight. The weirdest thing. And it was so I think somehow she didn't notice it, they didn't notice it, whatever. But then Jasmine took it back and was like, listen to the story, it's pretty crazy. And so they didn't charge us or anything. They're like, yeah, we believe you, something weird happened. Okay, all right, so we're gonna do tonight is go back probably over to this Western Keep, the Western Watch, and do a little bit of placement there. May throw a couple of pathing drakes in here. But yeah, I've done a lot of propping in here over the last well, I don't want to say 2 weeks because I really didn't get a ton done last week, but I got a lot of propping done in recent days. Let me actually pay attention to chat. Sounds like you got sick because your body's going through withdrawals from lack of cast iron pan. Oh no, I took the cast iron pan. Oh, you mean afterwards? No, I cook with it constantly. It's so easy to cook with, so easy to clean. Plan for today's stream will be probably a little bit of propping and a little bit of additional population work in some of these areas. I would show you all of the props that I've been doing and population work, but I almost kind of feel like as some of that stuff's been happening off stream, I'm almost like more and more I want to, when I am able to get stuff done off stream, like not show you so that you can discover it on your own. I don't want to ruin everything. But one of the realizations that we you don't want to see shit. Well, fortunately you're in the right place. I'll wind up not showing you anything. Oh, looks like Nate put some props in. Okay, cool. Are these guys itemized yet? It's in progress. Word on 10 nodes being put in. I don't know if they've been put in. It's a Nick question. He's been getting that in. We do have a new new iteration on the crafting UI. And so you'll see a little bit of that in the update that should be going out this weekend. So we kicked around some ideas for how to improve the UX on that, and it looks like that's gone in. We'll see how long I can stream tonight. I'm actually already starting to feel a little lightheaded from talking, and especially at this volume. It probably doesn't sound very loud to you there, but it's loud for me this week. Expected level range of Fallen Pass. Here, let me be 100% precise. You gotta realize it's a big zone. The more we've been working in it, like the realizations kind of hit. And I think I might have mentioned this on a previous stream, or I don't know if it was with you guys or with the team. But like if you look at here, let me fly really quick and show you something. When people ask how many zones we're going to ship with, it's going to be such a misleading metric. The number is going to be so like off, just because we've got zones like Fallen Pass, which I think there's going to be upwards of 30 camps. The level range for Fallen Pass is so 18 to about 55. And that sounds like a weird spread, but trust me, like the basically the sub 30s, there's that first section probably 30 and below, you know, so the Boneyard, the tunnels leading up from the Boneyard, if you guys have been in here before, are fully populated now. There's some stuff going on there. Got some stuff for you to discover around in the zone already. We'll be adding more of that in. But yeah, if you've been here, this is the lower level area, and there's some couple little camps and some stuff going on in here, and then there's some tunnels that go all the way up through here, and there's more stuff in there for you now. Gotten a few rares, so you'll discover them. There's some different stuff going on in here, but like I was saying, with regards to props and things like that, there's definitely more going on in here. So, oh my god, we camped beside those tunnels and never saw it. Exactly. I'm telling you, this place is crazy with how much shit is in it. So just those tunnels, I think, could easily support 3 groups. There's a nice little camp spot here. Left this blank for you. Figured if you wanted to pull, could probably set up shop over here. But then I found out that people were actually camping over here as well. Kind of a similar area. So keep your eyes out. If you're around here, you may find some little, I don't want to say quest items, but like event questy items. You'll find some stuff that you can do things with. Anyways, the whole point of me flying was to come here and go. So if you look at these 3 pillars, these plateaus, and the amount of stuff that's going on here, you'll run into different rares here. There's some fun stuff going on. If you were to look at this compared to like Crushbone, it may not seem like it, but essentially just these three plateaus, the Ratman camp that's here, that's probably the equivalent of Crushbone. If I had to guess, it's as many mobs, if not more, and definitely a number of rares. Crushbone was so small, man. Yeah, I mean, but so was Unrest, and they're 2 of our favorites, right? Like that's standard progression: Orkill, Crushbone, Unrest, right? Think about how much time we've spent there. So that's kind of what I mean in terms of like mind space. It's kind of like putting your head in the space of like, you know how much time I've spent in Unrest, and you guys have, many of you played even more than I have, right? So I think what you're going to find is as you start to explore zones like this one, where there's just, I mean, so we were talking about the lower area. We're talking about the tunnels leading up that leads you into Lower Saman, which this is probably going to be the last shit I populate. So Lower Saman, or this plateau is, yeah, actually, because it brings you up to here. So there's this area right here above Lower Saman that's kind of like where the path to Upper Saman like collapsed. You got this area down in here. All of this stuff here. I just put some interesting stuff in here yesterday. So that's a whole bunch of like, dude, there's so much content just there. These guys, you've got, you'll eventually discover areas, tunnels, rooms in these other areas over here. You've got the wyverns all over the place over there. You've got wyvern camp up here. It's a whole other area that you can get to and go up on the ledge. Then you've got Upper Saman, which is just going to be crazy. I mean, this is like so much shit. And then I said wyvern. I meant drakes. Sorry. How do you spell Saman? S-A-M-A-N. Correct. Then you got this camp over here, right? And if you've seen, Zukin's been working on the drakes, so you've probably seen videos of it. Hey, Sneaky Russian. Right, so this is a whole section up here, and there's some connective tissue. And then this takes you into the smuggler tunnels, which is a whole nother thing that's going on. And that goes all the way down to the Smuggler's Cove. Spoilers. I said I wasn't going to say anything. I'm still not showing you everything. I'm just mentioning it. And then we're over here in this area. Right? This is a whole thing. And don't forget down here, there might be some stuff going on as well. And then what's up here? Once you discover how to get up here. Another thing. So yeah, a lot of population work to do, but we're getting there. It's funny because this was supposed to be one of the smaller zones. This was supposed to be a smaller zone. Pattis, this was supposed to be a smaller zone. But I'm stoked on it. It's turning out well. There's a lot to do here. So that's the thing. Like if you look at our zones vary. We got some fun mini dungeons that are being worked on by a couple of our friends that are prospective environment dudes. And so that'll be nice. You'll be able to discover some more like mini crypt. I don't know if you found a spider dungeon, any of you. It's like a 3-room dungeon. You find it in Shaded Dunes. It's really fun. So there'll be more of that stuff. There are areas that are crazy elaborate like this. This stuff I've been showing you. There's stuff like this hidden in Night Harbor that you guys haven't seen. One of them's being worked on right now by Stab. Stab/Ivan's working on that right now. Yeah, there's an entire there are entire dungeons in Night Harbor that you guys haven't seen. Smuggler's Cove, that bar in San Francisco. I love that place. It sounds like a place you would go. He loves pudding. So, Eating Around said 18 to 55 is almost the entire leveling process. It's wild to have in a single zone. Wild to me, at least. I never played EQ style games. Yeah, so the thing is, we'll have a number of zones that just have crazy spreads, and you'll find that there's a bias towards certain chunks of levels. It's not just like a pure spread, but what you'll find is that distribution is going to be kind of all over the place. So you're going to see a lot of mixing of different level ranges, player wise, in different areas all the time, it's just really nice to have people seeing other, higher level people, maybe getting a buff tossed on them, that kind of thing. Seeing stuff, running by stuff that's aspirational, or seeing it getting zoned and being terrified and not wanting to, get too close. So, that's something that's just been a priority for us. Fish Guts said, wow, this really is a massive zone, tons of content. Yeah, it's we may do some simpler zones as we go. We keep trying to do simpler zones, and then we get kind of crazy sometimes. So, but yeah, we'll figure it out, and we're gonna try our damnedest to stay on schedule. So, big zones make camping the zone line harder. Have you thought about that dynamic? With some stuff, yeah. I think it is definitely something that's been on my mind. I do think that the insertion of some of the mini dungeons will help as well, because that'll give you like a break point, right? Because those could potentially serve as little zone line refuges here and there. The thing that I'd say is the zone's big, but once you kind of know the layout, like trying to bum rush one of the two zone lines isn't that impossible. And you've got to figure, you've got a zone line going into Vale of Zintar that's just right over there. You've got the zone line going into Shaded Dune that's just right over there. If you're in here and we don't have a little mini dungeon or something to serve as a zone line for you, you might get hosed, but you might also deserve it. And then on the outside here, you'll be able to swim around, hit the zone line there. On this side, you'll probably, I mean, you can book it and see. Just hope the scope doesn't hurt y'all. Yeah, I mean, so far it's been less of the scope, I think, and more of just everybody's volunteering. And so we get periods where there's a drop off because a bunch of shit's going on. It's back to school, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of calms down a bit. And then it spikes back up as people have more time. But we'll see. We've got a big schedule. We'll be trying to keep on it. We've got a couple more people that it's very likely we'll be adding to the fray to help with some stuff. And then if at any point we get to a point where it's like schedule's hosed for some reason, we'll let you know. But so far it still looks good. You got to keep in mind, like, our schedule is actually built with us doing post-launch content before we launch. So right now, if things slow down, we kind of eat into how much post-launch content we can get done before launch. And then we'll be working to figure out, all right, how do we triage that? So, early access is supposed to have 2 forest zones, Evergrove and Scarwood. Yeah, that's still on the books and built. Brian, has started blocking out Evergrove already. We're already iterating on that. Feedback is already going in on that one, actually. Here, I'll show you a picture. These 4 images right here are actually related to Evergrove. So this will change. Don't start taking screenshots and drawing maps and shit. This will definitely change, and it's very simple. It's a gray box, but it's what we could use to sort of come in and like, what I like to do is run in and just with a stopwatch, boom, run, see what it feels like. What's the timing at different move rates? What's the plan with regards to how broken up is it going to be, that kind of stuff. What you're seeing here is this is all back from the biome jam, so it's just being used as placeholder right now. Someone's already camping that lake. Yeah, guaranteed. Already printed a copy. Cool. Keep it, and then you'll see how it evolves over time. Chinny D, you're selling cloth maps? We need to talk. Thank you, Russian said, I think big zones are great because I've always worried about how y'all will host a large population of players per server if everything is camped. Yeah, and we've got a weird challenge on our hands because we've got to fit all of you into early access, but early access is a fraction of the world that we want to build for 1.0. And so it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see play out over time, because the hope is that we just wind up with pretty massive server communities over time as the world continues to grow and grow and grow, and we just put more people in the server. Because there'll be a lot more like 1 to 60 content that's coming up in these other areas for the different races and shit like that, the different biomes and themes in each region. And so then, as people are coming in later, the world's going to be so huge compared to what you're seeing at early access. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one, man. Like, I don't know. I was telling somebody the other day that this project is just, I guess in theory there should be a ton of stuff that we could worry about, but so far I would say in the last year and a half, it's really just become more and more fun. And a lot of the shit that we have to worry about, it's like, oh man, can't stay up too late worrying about that. Every game's got to worry about it. Every MMO's got to worry about it. We'll figure it out. Like, I think it's just the byproduct of the team's attitude and the confidence that's just built up in the team, and the fact that, you know what, like, if we fuck it up initially, we'll fix it. And as long as the team's willing to keep grinding and fixing it or whatever, and you guys show us some forgiveness, which you've been super cool so far. I mean, the honeymoon will eventually wear off, we know, but the support so far has just been so positive and incredible that, all right, cool, let's keep going. We'll hit some challenges and we'll figure it out. Is there going to be a lava storm? There will be a lava style biome eventually. Yeah. Is early access planned for Q3? I think the original roadmap that we put up, which was like deprecated the day we put it up and we just didn't fix it, said like early access Q4, and we were thinking like December 26th or 30th or what, you know what I mean? Like, it was like very into Q4, and everything we've stated since then has been like, we want to go, our current schedule is saying we go into early access January of 2026. And we'll see how that goes. If you check out here, Here's the info, and aside from that bit, everything should be accurate on it. Hey, Chip. Okay. Dude, it's been... I love talking to you guys and trying to do a little bit of work while we're hanging out, but it's been so nice on the days where I can just, like, turn on Spotify, listen to music, zone out, and slam stuff in. So... I'm a very poor multitasker. I mean, if by some miracle we get done earlier, then and we're ready to go into early access earlier, then we'll go earlier. But odds are we're going to need every single bit of that time and then some. And, but again, we also don't have to have like every little single thing done. That's the whole point of going into early access. But we want to have core systems in, core balance figured out, like all the big gotchas hammered out. And that's why we'll be playtesting all the way up until then. Somebody earlier asked about playtesting. I'm fairly certain Ollie and the guys want to have a stress test as soon as possible. So there'll be a couple things that we want to, naturally get zipped up before we have another stress test. But Ollie posted a picture. I don't know if Ollie wants to speak to it. But he posted a picture, I thought, in Discord showing a shitload of bots that we were running. And it sounds like the tech guys are pretty confident that we've hit another milestone with regards to Nick spilled the beans already. Cool. Do you want to mention anything, Ollie? Because I mean, it's essentially on one hand, I'm always hesitant because it's kind of like, or did he spill the beans on when the stress test is going to be? The other spilled the beans, the bots. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, 700 bots are not the same as 700 players. That's why we have the stress test. What do you think the delta is right now, Ollie? Like, if we had 700 bots running around in Night Harbor before things got hinky, what do you think with players, what do you think? Chip, you're also allowed to guess. I think Ollie is the optimistic programmer, and I think Chip is your classic, like, I don't want to say that you're a pessimist because that's not true, but I think your Chip would be like, well, I think that because Chip is a proper engineer. Exactly. Ollie, you're not a fraud. Obviously, clearly. Hey, Darius. Hey, Olaf. The optimist invents the airplane, the pessimist invents the parachute. Ollie's just such a positive guy, though. We've got to put in at least one human face that's like just a giant big smile. The Ollie style face. So far, our experience has shown that players are lighter than bots. Really? All right, I guess we'll see. All right. When is the next flash test? Soon. No joke. Very soon. Ollie hit the button. Ollie. Don't listen to Ida. So yeah, as I mentioned, oh cool. I will be here this week. I will be here. I'll be streaming next week, and then I'll be gone for another week. I'll be in the U.S. for a week, just right around a week, and then I'll be back, hopefully to a fairly normal schedule. So, excuse me. Stop by Austin. I'll buy you some Torchy's tacos and Topo Chico. Man, Torchy's with the cookie dough balls. Do they still have the cookie dough balls, Darren? I would love to swing by, but basically we're flying into Chicago. Hopefully going to have an opportunity to say hi to Nick, hang out, meet him in person for the first time. From Chicago, flying to Philly. Philly, renting a car and going to Anvil, where the VA cemetery is. We'll have my dad's funeral, drive back to Philly, hop on a plane, go to Orlando, be in Orlando for 2 days, drive up to Ocala, meet with my stepmom, go through the sort of, my dad didn't have a ton of stuff, just some of the remaining stuff, get that ready to take, go back to Orlando, fly back to Germany. So that's the plan. Yeah, Torchy's is really good. Corbett said, hey, I'm near Chicago. One of these days we'll do fan fairs in areas like that, and we can all hang out. Assuming we get to the fanfare stage of things. How is that poll going in Discord? Let's see. You guys, how many people have participated in the survey? Let's see what our engagement's like. 287. That's it. That's all you got? Look, man. Surveys. Participate. Rookie numbers. Poll is a hot topic on Discord. It can't be. It can't be that hot. We've only got less than 300 people that have engaged with it. Is the survey about a party? Who knows? The survey is about trying to see how many people from Discord actually engage with stuff. Sneaky Russian says, Ollie, hobbyist game dev here with a focus in MMO architecture. I'm always curious about ecosystems. Did y'all base your server architecture on an open source project, paid solution somewhere you got the source to, or did you write it from scratch using something as the base? We'll see if you heard that. What would the M&M fanfare be called? That It's a good question. I'm sure you guys will think of something before we do it. All right, so spawners? I thought it was in here. I thought spawners. Oh, I guess I could just click on one. Okay. Plagueborn. We've got some Plagueborn here. And there. Got some Scrivar here. Sharon said Franklin's Barbecue, Torchy's Tacos, and some kolaches from the Czech Kolache Bakery. Dude, are you talking about the... Okay, I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, but there is a taco place. They do breakfast tacos. Okay, the one by Waco. No, there's actually a place up by the Domain where I used to live where they do breakfast tacos and kolaches, and the kolaches there are so good, and breakfast tacos are awesome as well. And it's been the same, like, I don't know where they're from, but the same Asian family's been there for 20 years or 25 years or whatever. It's just in a strip mall, and we used to hit them up like every day before work. And when we were back for a quick visit, and Jasmine and I were stuck in a hotel because we had COVID, we got some from over there. We snuck over and infected everybody and got kolaches. Sneaky Russian says, I ask because everyone seems to want to teach non-production possible solutions that would never work at scale, i.e. teaching wrong, or they provide a cheat solution where the client is wrapped headlessly, which creates scaling issues. If you don't get an answer here, you should definitely hit Ollie up in Discord, because I know he's hit on this topic before in the past. I guess that's what before means, in the past. People are trying to figure out how to publicize survey more, but I assume you want a realistic test of engagement, artificially inflated, or do you want to push hard? I want you guys to do whatever you think is needed to hit the engagement number. Just a little secret between us, don't tell anybody else, but part of the idea with the survey was to see what you guys did with the survey. There are no rules. Yeah, okay. Come on, D. I take it back. There are no rules is probably going too crazy. I forgot who I was dealing with. Making your post right now, telling people what? There's no rules. Though it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's always interesting. Alright, these are escapees. Alright, we'll just do I feel like most people mute Discord servers. Oh, I wouldn't be shocked. But again, that's the idea. Oh no, what did you do? Kaleem says, guys, a loving robot on his stream just said no rules regarding a survey they're trying to hit 1,000 interactions with. If they hit it, we can get a playtest this weekend. Check out the survey channel. It was implied. What in the world? What in the world? You guys. I'm just reading Discord and you guys are all right. All right. The vote count is ticking up now. Is it? Let me check. Was this actually productive? Yeah, it ticked up like 10 more votes. You guys are on fire. You guys. Team's gonna yell at me. Gonna hire a plane to fly a banner about the survey over Chicago. It'll get shot down. Don't do it. I'm kidding. Don't you guys start actualing me. It's pretty bad in my neighborhood, though. Sorry, Sean. You're just trying to scare me away, Nick. I see how it is. We're gonna be in Chicago, then we're gonna be in Philly. I'm showing Jasmine all of the best spots. On a different topic, I hope more balance work is done before next playtest. Last one's kind of rough for damage accuracy of melee casters and pet classes. That's Sneaky Russian. Nick is in chat, ready to listen to all of your feedback. Hey, Liz Biscuits, how have you been? Been fighting lace stitches and trying to pick ones that she liked. You gonna post new pictures for us? That'd be cool. Be sure to tag me so I don't miss it, though. Yeah. Hey, Pattis, what's going on, buddy? Hey, I'm placing some mobs here. I figure as you continue to refine things, I can adjust their position and stuff. It's no big deal. I need to check in the prop and lighting subscenes this evening. Oh, right on. Class just started back, right? Ooh. We could go today, right on. Is the tool you're using right now a custom tool y'all built or something off the shelf? Fish guts, it's custom tooling that we added into Unity. Can you hear the music well enough? I realize I'm being pretty quiet again because I'm just like concentrating. And so if I'm being quiet and the music's quiet, that might not be ideal. It's just quiet then. That'd be kind of lame. So let me know if you can't hear anything. Sounds good on your end? Alright. Kind of low on the music. It's fine for background noise. I'm going to turn it up a little bit because I'm not talking a ton. If I start talking a lot and it's drowning me out, just let me know. Did Nick just do a drive-by? He was in here, made one comment about Chicago, and then disappeared when you guys started talking about balance. Chicago, go to Al Cheval. What is that? Is that a massage parlor? Lots of rats in this huge zone. You think they'd burrow tunnels of shortcuts to get around easier? There's a story behind that. You'll meet more rats underground, but you'll be dealing with two different types of rats here, and there's a reason for their behavior. Au Cheval Diner, Chicago. It's the burger mecca. I don't think we'll have enough time, to be honest. We're gonna get there. We're gonna drop our stuff off at the hotel. Hopefully, meet up with Nick, hang out until they get tired of us, and then we're gonna go back to the hotel, and then we're gonna go to the airport the next morning and hop on a plane to Philly. That's the plan right now. Nothing crazy. This isn't sightseeing. You'd go to Au Cheval over meeting up with Nick? I think you're lying. I know for a fact you're lying. You're talking, yep, talking shit. I know for a fact. Oh, D, thanks again for the Plex. It came in super handy the week I was sick. Fish Guts, did I already thank you for the follow? You came in and just started talking, and I started talking to you. I didn't thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. By the way, Hindo, is this Dan Henderson? No worries, Hindo. Dan Henderson has worse IRL movement animations than any game from 1999. That dude's spine is beast. But he's a beast. I wouldn't want to get punched by him. Nor wrestle his old ass. Dude's amazing. Yeah, he's definitely busted up. You know who I haven't seen anything out of in a long time I'm curious about? Damn it, and now I'm also blanking on his name. Another one of the greats, old champ wrestler. Thought he was training folks in Vegas. Why can I not? How can I not think of his name? Yeah, Randy Couture. Thank you. No, I was thinking of Randy. For whatever reason, as soon as you mentioned, as soon as we were talking about Dan Henderson, I was thinking of Randy. I once watched a video of him working out and he was doing 100 reps of everything. There was like that one Fight Science show or whatever where they were talking about they were measuring his lactic acid levels as he worked out. And like his body, he was actually doing better the more he worked out. It was like his lactic acid was stable and going down at times. Wild. Oh, these guys probably need a wander, huh? Is that true though? I mean, some of the guys that just went really hard on the supplements have some problems. But I didn't think that was like an across the board thing. Yeah, I saw a video the other day on Instagram of this lady. She started working out when she was 70 years old, and they showed her progress from 70 to like through 75. Oh, you mean like wrestlers? Yeah, those guys have rough lives, like WWE kind of thing. Those guys get pretty beat up. Well, Andre the Giant died. I mean, he was a giant. I think that's probably a big part of the problem. Did you ever see that video of Cain Velasquez doing those knee extensions and his bro science coach is like randomly kicking the front of the pad as he lifts the conditions he's for kicking 3 years later due to his knees being gelled? Yeah, there's definitely some bad training. I trained a number of times. The gym that I was at in Texas had a good relationship with the shoot the box guys from Brazil. And that's like those guys train in a way where your body's just wrecked from training, not just fighting. Same with the guys in Brazil training Vanderlei and them. Your life expectancy probably drops 15 years just by having master condition. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he was a shoot the box guy, right? We had Pele Landry, I think, came up and trained with us. I think I left that training session with a nice black eye. Let's see, Pele, Cyborgino, his little brother, female cyborg. It was fun. We went out to lunch. We went to a steakhouse with her after one of the seminars she did, and like seeing her in civilian clothes back then was pretty wild. She is a jack. Yeah, I did see that MRI of his head. That knee just shattered everything. Pretty wild. My wife's a oral surgeon, so she finds those types of X-rays to be pretty interesting. She at one point she was working in a maxillofacial ward here in Germany, and saw she calls it cornflake. The X-rays look like cornflakes when you shatter like your cheeks and different facial regions. I don't know if there's like a term for it or whatever, like cornflake break or something. I don't know. Just had upper jaw surgery. X-rays of titanium in my jaw was wild to see afterwards. Oh, I bet. It would be Frosted Flakes for you because you're such a sweetheart. Corvid. I believe you. Yep. That sounds accurate. So Fallen Watch gonna take it to 60? Yep, it should. It won't be the only place, but if we can get everything on our list for early access done in time, then you should have options. EA is scheduled for 2026, correct? The beginning of 2026. Can you please voice over a bit of the stuff you're doing? Oh shit, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. If your voice is up to it. Yeah, it is. I'll be fine. So what I'm doing right now is, and that'll probably make it so it's less quiet for people watching the VOD and stuff as well. Again, let me know if my voice isn't keeping up with the audio. Do you plan on doing a Steam release or haven't decided? No plans on doing Steam. The plan for the time being is just staying self-published, and we'll take care of distribution and payments and all that other stuff ourselves. So what I'm doing right now, Fish Guts, is I'm using this interface that we've got here. Basically everything that you see, all the numbers, all the green things, the little green balls with the nose on them, the little goblins, those are spawn points, and they're indicating either that they're a point spawn, which means one thing, or however many things just spawn at exactly at this point. We've also got the ability to do spherical volume spawns just by like clicking, right? So if I click this, oh, it gets big, because it's like a 30 unit radius, right? So if I do this, then the NPCs that are listed up here can can spawn anywhere in that volume. And then with the box volume, basically it allows me to do a little bit more precise here. And so it gives us width, height, and length. In the past, it's been pretty good about identifying, like, if we'll see how it goes. I'll test it out again here. But if I've got this below where this surface is, then typically they won't path on top of it and they won't spawn on top of it. They'll stay in here. So we can check that out in a minute. And I mean, this is the bulk of, you know, how we populate zones is just coming through, and you see all those numbers out there, right? If I make this a draw distance a bit bigger, you can see it. Pull it in a little bit so it's not as crazy. Those are just spawn points, go-to routes, and things like that. For the type of content that we're making, right? We're not doing a ton of highly scripted shit. What we're doing is a lot of base pop. Base pop will tend to do things like, in this case, this volume has all spawn points have commands associated with them. And so in this case, they spawn. They've got a wander in volume command. Pause on pause, go to index number 1. So basically what that allows me to do is they've got a random chance to pause. When they pause, then in this case they'll go over, this guy will go over to this go-to point, and he'll kind of peek into this room. He'll pause for 5 seconds, and then this resets this index back to wander in volume. So set active command 0 over here. Basically just kicks him back into here. In theory, he starts wandering around again. And yeah, we'll see. Given the pause chance, it's pretty high for this. That may not look the way I want it to. We'll do that. See what it looks like. If we don't like it, we can change it. Is the plan to use mud commands to trigger events like mob spawning and things like that? We've got some. In this zone, actually, last night, I put in a little event where you've got to do some mud commands and figure some things out, and you've got a little bit of timer. Probably be some teamwork involved. And if you do it right, then you spawn something and it kills you. Does the height of the rectangle volume also keep mobs that are down lower from spawning a character that is slightly higher, or is that a different thing entirely? That's entirely different. So how they recognize, like, basically the way our aggro works in line of sight in terms of spotting players, all that shit, that's separate from this. This is strictly just getting them into the world and defining some of their movement via the wander in volume. Are we talking about stress tests this weekend? Nope. I'm talking about spawning stuff. But for something like that mud spawned event mob, if a group were to wipe, would the mob despawn after a certain amount of time or stay up until it's killed? Typically when I throw stuff in, they usually have a finite lifespan after they're disengaged, or if they're never engaged. Like there's another spawned separate from the one I'm mentioning. There's a mob that can be spawned in here if you find the right items and figure it out and go to the right place and do the right stuff. And that one, again, if it kills the people that spawned it, it'll stick around, it'll path around for a bit, and when it comes home, it'll despawn. So it gives you either a chance to recover and try again, or somebody else to hit it. On those especially, it's not like it's super hard to... It's not one of those things where it's like you've invested weeks of your life to try to get these things to spawn, so you won't feel too shitty if you wipe and somebody else kills it. More of a flavor thing. Ooh. That makes sense. I think I think in one of Nick's streams the other day that you all were throwing around the idea of maybe you already have implemented in-game seasons. There could potentially be unique mobs and quests. Yeah, we've already got the ability just with data. Like our seasons don't have a visual component at the moment. But one of the things I was doing earlier today is using those conditions for a different event in a different zone. The ability is already there though for us to basically say like the condition is that it's spring or summer, full moons, no moons, this time of day, this type of weather event is going on. So like we've got some stuff that happens. Certain mobs only spawn when certain weather events are in place. What is this UI? Unity? Yeah, it's Unity plus a bunch of homemade stuff that we've got. It's really cool. How long does a year in world last? A year in world lasts a year IRL, because we do a weird Groundhog Day thing where every in-game day repeats 20 times, because it's based on the timing. It's 20 day-night cycles per real-life day, per 24 hours. And the reason for that is it would be too precise otherwise. So if we say, like, we've got, we want to say something's happening on this day in-game or in these 3 days in-game. Well, if we're doing it based off the in-game timeline, a day is like 40 minutes. So how are you going to time that? Like, oh shit, I need to not be at work in order to, like, how do we even calculate when that event's going to happen? It does seem too granular. So instead what we do is just every 24 hours, you get a new 24 hours in-game 20 times. Did the biome jam way back earlier this year lead to any zones being created that we haven't seen yet? It's playing a key role in the development of Evergrove so far. We're actually reusing some of the assets to help us kind of get a feel for the setup of the zone. I was showing that earlier in the stream, actually. Any thoughts on Wizard Druid ports? Any other expanded skills for group utility like that? We've got Wizard and Druid ports in already, I think, examples. Hey, Brown Butcher. And there'll definitely be more stuff along those lines. How you doing, Brown Butcher? Things going better? I didn't hear from you after that last stream, so I assumed you didn't need my shoulder to slightly less terrible. That's good to hear. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. Like I said, if you need me for anything, you know where to find me. So yeah, I'm getting the third one of these guys in here. Give him a little wander, and then we'll see. So I just want these like scavengers scavenging around, but the upper areas and the rooms in here are going to be pretty dangerous, so they're not going to go in there. And then they'll have a couple taskmasters and guards and stuff that are checking things out. any thoughts about making this tool available for community created content? No plan for that for now. But I mean, we tend to be pretty open with stuff, and when people have questions about the projects that, you know, what we're doing as it may relate to the projects they're working on or whatever, we try to help out whenever possible. Would be cool to see what the community could come up with for dungeons. I have no doubt that folks will come up with cool stuff. I mean, the biggest challenge we have with that sort of thing is you've really got to like build your team and tools and business around user generated content to really make the best use of it. For us, it would just, I think it would overwhelm us. There'd be too much going on. But what we do instead is we've got a couple people that are working with us right now on making some stuff, and it's looking really, really good. And so I'm sure you'll hear more about that soon. And hey, what's up, Simon? And essentially the thing that we found is, you know, the bulk of our team, almost everybody from the teams come from the community, right? And so what we do is we just look for people that are doing things and kind of stay on our radar and stick around, and we get to know and all that stuff. And then if we wind up having a role open up where it may work that those people could fit, then we hit them up, hey, you want to try out? And that's been good for us. Yeah, I mean, stuff that comes up on stream has made it into the game a fair amount. Dozakar says, how can I get a dick-shaped dungeon through the approval process? Yeah. That's always the question. You'd have to butter us up. Alright, so here are our guys. Let's see what they do. And I know, as you can see, this geo and stuff is still in progress, but playable rat race win. Dude, these are the were rats. These guys are awesome. And then you've got to see the actual the rat men concept is pretty tight as well. Have you guys seen the rat man concept? I thought it was in one of our updates, recent updates. Monsters and memories update. IDFAF said, at the broken bridge part you mentioned earlier, the undead there path up into the ruins, it gets stuck if you want to check it out. Oh yeah, I'm sure. There's a lot of work that still needs to go into that area. I appreciate it. Yeah. And it's that stuff is very placeholder thrown in terms of the population. I did it before the big stress test a while back because I just wanted there to be some stuff in there, so I just slapped in big volumes. So Zukin's been working on the Drake, and that'll be in here. And here's a rat man. And here's a mouse man. Here's a rat man. Eventually it'd be nice to have a mouse man too. He's so cute. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. He's so cute. Overdue newsletters. Any idea when? Hoping to have it out this weekend. %100% play the mice race. Yeah, that's the hope. That we make so many cool ass races that years after we've gone live, you're just asking us to add more, make more of the races playable, and let you re-explore the world. And that keeps everybody pretty entertained. If that winds up being the case, then all right, let's fix this volume. Then I think that'd be a winner. That would be a winner for sure. A game concept I had in my brain forever was allowing players to unlock playable monster races via rare loot drops as crystallized souls. That's interesting. Would you be mad if we stole something like that? We've been talking about play as a monster forever on this project, but it's one of those things that's like, it's a stretch goal. It's for after we get all of our actual homework done. Can't wait to buy official M&M plushie merch. First of which will obviously be a toothy grinning goblin. I don't know. The first plushie is going to be one of the old capsule people. Did the stream crash? Or is it just up and up? Apanobo, are you there? Okay, stream's fine. What are you screwing around with, Jasmine? Camera's about to crash if Jasmine knocks it over. Okay. So yeah, one of the fun things for people that are new here, one of the fun things about using this tool set is like being able to be in real time. One, I have worked in tools in the past that didn't have very good like visual representation of data. Keep in mind everything that we're doing here, all it is it's providing us. Here, I'll go down to something that's more accurate. It's just giving us a visual interface for our database, right? So it's all just a pretty straightforward relational DB. And then what we're able to do is manipulate the stuff here. This is actually multiple tables worth of data. Hit save, be in game, reload the data, and see the changes take effect. So that's pretty nice. It's basically the simplicity that I really, really, really loved working on original EverQuest, combined with better front end. Right, so the simplicity of working in relational DB, and the scalability, and just, you know, the ability for someone like Nick to go in with SQL and do crazy stuff, and just mass produce, you know, certain things as needed, or mass edit certain things as needed. Cool, he is doing that. So he walks up, he goes from his wander route here in this volume, pauses, and then he'll come up and look in that door a little bit. Wanted to be really fancy. Could also give him a little, like, a line to say when he goes up there. Pause, you know, says something, and then goes back. So really easy to implement with this setup. But yeah, so anyways, it's all the goodness that I missed on other projects after working on EQ, and just sort of the speed and efficiency there, and then the combined with just really easy to work with. Interface here. So, and we've just kind of been like, the improvements added up really quickly, but there was a lot of stuff that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we didn't have, that Keith has been able to come in, and like, it's really nice to have like this change window, which I didn't even realize was there until earlier in the year, where it's like, oh shit, really, we can see if we don't have certain data saved or whatever. Beautiful. You know, Chips added some stuff as well in here, especially in Night Harbor, where we've got like thousands of entities. You know, just the ability to really customize the interface the way we want, right? So like pulling distance on the gizmos, label, line opacity, volume opacity, spawn opacity, all that stuff. Like, those little things add up really quick to make, honestly, my favorite tool set since I started working in games. And this is, we're still early, right? Like, as we're continuing to grow, the game itself, we're always working on like improving tools. And I think when Jason got on a team, even though he's here for design, like, came in and was like, just came in and plugged in and created another little tool for us here, so that we could, I think this allows us to see like aggro radius volume, like aggro radius. I haven't really screwed with it. Cool, so let's add some more guys. Reload zone, make sure that change is good, and then what happened to my cool robe? My cool robe is still here, but the mantle is not rendering. I don't know if Zukin is out there. I keep forgetting to mention it. But I've got this mantle, and I think that was the, oh, because I just reloaded zone. That's what you're thinking of, is the top part. Eh? Something's broken in my UI. Gnome needs the cape rework for it to show up again. Think about doing them next anyway, though. Oh, okay, cool. So you are aware of it. No rush on from my end. I just want to make sure you're aware of it. Alright, so we got these guys in, and now we can switch up who's spawning. Zook can give us, and Zook is take us. Yes. So we can now spawn some. Through our guards. That's feeling that's not where it's supposed to be. There, on occasion, there is some quirkiness on occasion where if I've got gizmos up, I think when I go to plop some of these points in, they'll like land on my camera and other weird shit. So I'm switching between the spawn editor and spawn inspector. Spawn editor is just what we're using to place the initial points, and then it'll be selected when I go over to the spawn inspector, which allows me to then modify these place points. So double check, make sure that it's got the right NPC spawn group or encounter table associated with it. Good. Rotate it. It's nice because it used to be that we could only manipulate the facing and stuff in the tool, but Keith's done a good job of ensuring that when we use like the, what do they call it in Unity? The handles and shit. It all modifies the data as well, right? So if we're just, like you're placing props or anything else, Gizmo is the thingy, but like these guys up here, the adjusters, they have a name, but I can't think of it at the moment. But anyways, so like rotation, it's nice, right? Because you can use the integrated like Unreal. Sorry, it's been 2 years since I said Unreal. Unity. I used to call this, anytime we were talking about like Unity, I'd say Unreal. And you guys have mentioned Unreal a couple times tonight, and now you bugged me again. So it's using like the default Unity shortcuts and stuff. So moving it, rotating, all that stuff's good. If you look here on the right hand side, you'll see that the facing's updating in our tool just based off that. I mean, it's dead simple stuff, but Liz says making tools is the best part sometimes because while you guys get to play the game and so on, it helps make the making easier and make that part more enjoyable so you can concentrate on harder stuff. Yeah, it's really nice. I tell the guys, I feel like this project has got the best tool support of any project I've worked on so far. It's really been outstanding, and it's a huge help. Makes life so much easier. So this guard here, and put the guard there, save them, go back. I don't think I've got any loose guards. I don't. Cool. So we're gonna add another 2 guards up here, kind of facing in though because there's Plagueborn. What were the tools like for the horse game? Was it more of a modern game? What was it? So that had an interesting history. So the horse game, hey Bill, the horse game came to be because they had made the Star Stable game early 2000s, I guess, like late 90s, early 2000s. They had made these CD-ROM games. So it was like 4 Star Stable games that were kind of the fantasy crazy backstory, and then 4 that were more Star Stable games that were just like the riding club and just about like dressage and riding. And those 8 discs, those 8 games had a huge following in Sweden. It was, and a lot of the women that worked for us at our company actually grew up playing those games. And so it was a 10-man team that had built those tools and those games early on. And then they also did like Barbie riding and some other things. And at some point, one of the investors was like, you know, our board was basically the early investors for the most part. Well, they were slowly being bought out by a bigger company while I was there, but the early investors were like, hey, what if we made a game like World of Warcraft is big? What if we make this game that all these Swedish girls love, the Star Stable series? What if we made that into a MMO like World of Warcraft? And so they threw some money at it, got the original, the team that had been working on that stuff, um, to basically just take the engine that they had and the tools that they had and just continue to evolve them into making an online game. And they even named the original company World of Forcecraft, but then changed the name because they thought they'd get in trouble. And that's where Star Stable originated, the MMO. And so the tools, the problem is, the game was like, when I left, Star Stable is 9 years old, I believe. And then the tools are even older than that. And so the tools, if you knew all the weird legacy shit, I guess were good for those people that had worked on the project forever. But by the time I was there, it was like very few. And so our designers really hated the tools. Long story short, that was a ongoing discussion the whole time I was there. The tools were not fun for the designers to use, especially new designers that were coming in and having to learn the quirks and weird shit. And one of the things with the tools is they were used for placing certain things, getting certain things in the world. But if I remember correctly, everything in the game is a script. And so you just have all these scripts, and it's like every time a quest is written, it's a new script every time. And then that script has its own, like, nothing's kind of modular and working with each other the way our system works. It's you're writing a whole new like drop table, like, you know what I mean? Like you I guess you can copy and paste from old scripts into new script. It was just not easy to work with, slow. Designers hated it. It was a topic for the entire time I was there about, like, hey, when can we just basically get these tools redone? And tech was just always overwhelmed because there was an old engine, old tools. We had a lot of high priority stuff like security and other shit to deal with, compatibility with, newer hardware. It was a lot. There was a lot going on there. So, long story short, happier with these tools than those guys were with theirs. So, a tale as old as time. It's true, man. There's a little bit of that at probably every tech company. Hey guys. What was I doing? Hey Migs. I think one of the things that helps with our tool development is similar to what I think helps with our development in general. Is just our Slack is like 30 or 40 channels based on different topics, and it's always hopping. Like, there's always something going on, and so people are constantly talking about stuff, and our guys are just really engaged. I can't imagine what it'd be like if everybody was able to just full-time focus on the project. Maybe it would be it would turn into maybe it would not be as cool for some folks, because maybe one of the reasons why they're so engaged and excited and passionate is just because it's not like, they've got other stuff that's contending for their time, and so they're happy to be able to come in and work on some stuff when they can. But just generally speaking, the guys have been so responsive, and it's a huge help. When game developers leave from one company to another, is everything considered proprietary? For instance, Concord is made from Destiny 2 developers, and the gunplay and skills are identical in some aspects. Are they recoding those from scratch? Odds are they're recoding it from scratch, but it's like, I don't know. Have you ever, if you've ever made something in like Photoshop, or if you've ever drawn something, or if you've ever built something, and then you failed to save, and oh shit, it's gone, or something happens and you need to recreate it, you're usually a lot faster the second time, right? So I think that's what you're seeing. All of us that have worked on stuff in the past, you know, I've been working on the same type of game, basically, just in different capacities, since early mid 2000. So that's like, 23 years off and on. And a lot of the shit that I've done is the same stuff. Like, the games aren't like, I say like a lot shit. The games aren't completely different behind the scenes. It's not some weird, you go in and all of a sudden everything's just this unique snowflake experience. A lot of the challenges are exactly the same, whether that be personnel, production, creative, time, technical. A lot of the scenarios we run into are very similar. A lot of what we're building is very similar, right? Like, there's only so many ways you can make Overwatch, and that's what you mentioned that they're coming from Destiny 2, but I mean, Concord was more Overwatch than it was Destiny 2, right? And yeah, so it's just you're able to take that experience and those ideas and everything, and reuse them. Ideally, hopefully, if you're in an environment that's not making use of your expertise or your experience, that's often it's a recipe for certain bad things to potentially happen, or good things not to happen. Hey, you shoes, I'm feeling good. Thorfinn said, after WoW came out, was it used as a reference in every MMO you've worked on after? For the most part, people reference it. I tend to reference it, and then experience in EQ, and also the being able to look at sort of the evolution between the two. But the lessons learned in EQ have served me ever since. I would say the experience I got on EverQuest, both from a production and like producery production project management standpoint, and also from like a just core in the trenches to development standpoint, probably some of the most useful experiences I've had throughout my career. Despite it being the first set of experiences and the oldest project, there's really just some great value. In my opinion, worked with a very underrated producer, and a lot of what he taught us has retained its value throughout. But I mean, you learn on every project. That's the point, right? Pass. Really enjoy working with what Swig Emu did with their RE server code. All NPCs have a template script. You can either reload scripts at a given world cell, or the server to update them with the latest. makes obtaining new values properties easy without worrying about DB schema updates or breaking schema constraints. The downside is non-programmers struggle initially. Yeah. That's a big consideration though, right? If you want to, I mean, when you're developing your tools, you've really got to consider how easy it is or isn't to integrate new designers and think of the variety of backgrounds that designers are going to have. Because I'm not a technical person at all, so I appreciate when tools are not, when I don't have to learn like a scripting language or some shit. Resources to me are always the hardest to get. Money and time are easiest to acquire. Yeah, well, resources being people, good people is absolutely the hardest thing to get. It's funny, I've worked at companies where they're like, we don't use the term resources when describing people because we love people so much. That's not a good way to speak about people. And then they proceed to not necessarily be the best company with regards to how they handle their people. It's so superficial. I'd rather say resource and then actually not be a dick to people. Or as much as possible. I mean, I've got my days. Zarkin asks, how would you describe the differences between finding people for a passion project like this versus hiring for a salary position at a typical game company? For example, does passion carry more weight than efficiency, experience, education, etc.? I mean, for us, it's the core prerequisite, right? Because we got nothing else for you. If you're not passionate about this project, I mean, we're not paying you. Right, this is a volunteer project for the time being, so it's that's a pretty straightforward one. So fortunately, that means we get people that are passionate, or we get people that come in, and we've had a few people come in and just realize they don't have the time. And I think that, you know, that's I'll take their word for it. It could be though that they come in and they're like, oh, this is going to be more work than I thought, or, you know, maybe they got intimidated, or maybe they're like, oh, this is too chaotic behind the scenes or whatever. But you know, the thing that really clicks with our team is the fact that if people weren't passionate, they wouldn't be here. I mean, we're currently roughly 30 people, and it's a passion project. And so I can honestly say, because I've worked on teams of a similar size in the past, across the board, this is the most passionate team that I've worked with, because again, they wouldn't be here if they weren't passionate. And if people lose the passion or whatever, understandable, but then it's time to move on. And for them, it makes sense to move on because we're not paying their rent, but we just haven't really run into that problem. When people are looking for a job, it's not super easy to find people that are truly passionate about the project, unless you just happen to be a company where somebody's always wanted to work, or it's a game that they're really, really in love with. So like at Star Stable, we found a number of passionate people, because a lot of the women that we hired, we were probably, even at 120 people in the studio, we were 55% female. And one of the reasons for that is 1 in 4 girls in Sweden has played Star Stable. Right? And so in a pretty techie city like Stockholm, when we're interviewing whatever programmer, designer, artist, odds are, if she's local to Sweden, she has played the game or knows about the game or has the family member that's played the game or whatever. And so, same deal where there are a number of like dudes that we hired that were like, oh, my daughter plays, or, you know, my sister played or whatever. Sneaky Russian, I think we're good. Ollie's actually very familiar with a lot of the various simulators, and I'm fairly certain Wigimo as well. Do you have a lot of performance considerations when you do this level design? E.g., the shape has too many poly triangles, whatever. That's not really on me. That's more of a Pattis or, you know, Simon when he's working in his zone or whatever. But this zone's being worked on by Pattis. I'm not sure that we've set a lot of hard budgets. Just because for the most part, we're relatively simple in how things are built, and then there's a lot of optimization that folks like Ollie and Chip and others have been doing to ensure that you know, things are optimized at different draw distances and occlusions working the way it should and all of that stuff. So far it hasn't been like to the best of my knowledge, there's not like a ton of performance considerations, but we'll see. I don't know why this guy keeps popping through. We'll eventually figure it out though. Alright, so Taskmaster. Heard someone's still working on lighting. Yeah. Performance isn't that amazing though at the moment, but I'm sure they're aware of it. Depends on where you're at. But yeah, we'll be continuing to work on performance. In certain environments like Night Harbor, yeah, there's definitely improvements to be made, but again, Night Harbor is a pretty unique zone, and it's very different than like this, and this is very different than Hated Dunes. But yeah, there's definitely optimizations that need to be made. So take what I was saying less about like we don't care about optimization and more about when we ask about optimization, the programmers have told us to date that it's less about certain budgets. There are certain things that we've changed as we're working, like within like the pipeline or whatever, but for the most part they've described it as there's a lot of performance stuff that we just still need to do that just haven't been done yet. Oh no, the questions are great, One More Soul. Thank you for asking them. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to be like super efficient at working. I'm here to mainly like answer questions while doing a little bit of work. Oops. There was new HDR settings or something for last playtest that was hurting my eyes during dusk time. Curious if that's been fixed. It's come up a bunch, so maybe, but I can't say for sure at the moment. I thought there was something else I missed. Snail Juice asked, what do you think the magic is in classic eras of MMOs that makes lots of players prefer to play classic instead of live? Sorry, I read that and immediately went into reading the next comment from Alpanobo. So Snail Juice, I think part of it is, and this is just a set of opinions. One of the things I noticed is in trying to make as WoW set forward a new standard of polish, especially after it went live and as it's going, and really worked on quality of life, and quality of life being defined as kind of that standard. If you're in design discussions or reading articles about design, or I guess books on design or whatever, it's, you know, this idea that if the players got to, like, if it's not immediately apparent what this thing does, then it's poorly designed. If it's not easy to look at and know exactly what to do, it's poorly designed. If you get lost, then that means you know, the area was poorly designed. There's all these things that are essentially like you know, finding the better way to the better experience to provide, and then over time what that leads to is, on one hand, yes, it's easier to get in, and maybe I can, you know, run around solo more, and I don't need to ask for help, and I don't need to read anything to figure anything out. I don't need to check online because it's so obvious that, you know, what I'm supposed to do. And what it turns into more and more is just like, I'm not on a quest. I'm on a path. I'm not on a quest. I'm doing tasks, right? Like, hey, go here, do this. Well, where's here? Right over there. Can't you see it? We're making it obvious so you don't get lost. We don't want you to get frustrated. And so in removing all the frustration and removing the pain points, a lot of like mystery got lost. You can see the system very easily. You can see the pattern very easily. It's like, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, cool. Look at your trainer. We'll tell you. You're here. It is level 1. Look, these grayed out skills are level 60. These are the only skills you're going to get. And here are the only trade skills you're going to learn. And here are the only, you know, it's like, and every system is presented to you in a way where it's like, oh, I can see the path. And all right, well, you know, and that's not to say that if you hop into EQ or P99 or whatever and you can go to spell merchants and shit and see like, oh, there's these, you know, and you click on them and you see the all right, these are higher level spells. But like, even the simple thing that not every spell is on that you need is on every merchant, or there may be some that you got to go find, or some are only researched, or okay, well, that pattern has now been broken up, right? Like, I can't see it because the shit's just not there. And oh, who do I need to interact with? Oh, the glowing exclamation mark. And where do I need to go? You know, in EQ2 is the nice colored trail. Oh, I just logged into the game. What do I do first? Well, we put you right in front of the guy that you need to speak to first. And hey, we're telling you which buttons to push. And oh, look, your interface is glowing. Click that next. And right, it's just, all right, but I'm not in a world. I'm basically in training. I'm being trained to do this menial shit, and it's going to scale over time. But really, it's the same shit with just bigger numbers. And I think that's why then when you hit like, when you hit stuff that requires more mechanical skill, like more challenging content in terms of like certain dungeons or raids or whatever, then it's nice because you get that bit back where it's like, okay, the challenge is like actually being able to do this, or there is game knowledge that's required in order to like not stand in fire and stuff like that. But then a lot of that, in my opinion, is kind of led to it being so skill-based or so mechanical that it's, again, I need to be very good at this video game in order to not get kicked from my group because my fucking DPS isn't good enough or whatever, right? Like, I've got to master my rotations, and I've got to, all right, but now I'm still not in a world. I'm having to, like, you know, I'm having to have a certain skill level. And so one of the things that was cool about the old games like in EQ or whatever is, all right, on one hand it was challenging because it was a big time investment and you would get brutalized if you screwed up, and there were just so many random like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming, opportunities for you to get steamrolled, and it was tough. And so when people say it's a hard game, it's not. I see the counterpoints a lot in the various online discussions of like, yeah, but EQ wasn't hard. Yeah, for the most part, it really wasn't hard. The hard part was having the patience, or, you know, social engineering and getting in groups and building up a social, you know, like a bit of a social network or support group where you've got people that you start to group with more regularly, or a guild that you join. So you've got some people that you're working with consistently on this stuff, right? Like, it wasn't about mechanical skill. There was a lot of like subtle game knowledge or shit that you could go dig up, or fortunately you could go find it on Alakazam or forums and stuff. But yeah, so I think there's something about if we can create a compelling enough world that you're curious about, and the moment-to-moment gameplay is tight. The moment-to-moment gameplay is like it provides you with satisfaction. The progress you are making feels rewarding. But so if we can nail that moment-to-moment like gameplay, we can nail that sense of progression, even though it is slower. I think people like slower. I know I like slower. I don't mind slower because it means I'm going to be in the world longer and my progress matters more. And I'm going to look back in months and go, oh shit, look at the progress I made. And I'll see somebody that came in yesterday and be like, oh, you've got months ahead of you. It's going to be so awesome. I think those things combined with a ongoing sense of mystery and like everything hasn't been discovered. I think that's going to be pretty key, and then us really maintaining that as a live service and continuing to layer on more stuff for you to find, more adventures for you to have, more mystery. I think I've said a number of times now that one of the questions I was asked the most when I was interviewing people for the EQ interviews I did, if you haven't seen them, there's like 18, 20 some interviews, like 60 hours worth of interviews with EQ people. One of the things that people asked from the community asked the most of the various people that were in was, have all the quests been found, right? Have all the items been found? It's a 25-year-old game. If you're still asking that, then I think that's part of the appeal, right? This idea that we haven't found everything, because each one of us, I believe, or maybe it's just me, there's that idea that I could stumble into some shit that hasn't been found before, right? And imagine if that's also something that's got like a visual or something that, you know, people can see when they inspect me and they're like, where did you find that? Right? There's just that belief of like, we're in a place and the time that we spend here has value within the community, and you know, it's always got more mystery for us. It's like our favorite TV series if it just never ended, right? Like, and didn't turn pretty shitty in the 6th and 7th seasons. All right, I'm gonna go back up since I've been rambling a lot and see what you actually said. Somebody asked earlier if I met Smed. Yeah, I worked with Smed. I've been in lots of fun meetings with Smed. He's a decent dude. Hindo says, part of my problem with modern MMOs over classic is there's less promotion of being social. Yeah. And that's a big thing, right? Like, I see it in our playtests all the time. People asking where to find shit and how to do things, and it's already social. Being able to solo most of the content defeats the purpose. Yep. One more soul says 100% agree. North had a charm and appeal to me because of the mystery, because we were figuring it out as a community. Memorized Fade Word because I had no map. I like getting lost in the world to an extent. I think a lot of people do. Fielder says quality of life is the death of exploration, discovery, and wonder to me. Yeah, it's, I mean, we'll have quality of life, but it's like making certain aspects of the UI better. Sure. You know, making certain things better or more performant or whatever. Sure. But we always got to watch that we're not taking away from the actual feel and the social friction and all that stuff. So, hold on. Let me make sure I saved this guy. Did I hit save? Save. Okay. While I'm babbling, I'll reload the zone so these guys will appear. Liz Biscuit says, I've been watching some people play WoW since release and watching them watching them find the exclamation mark, go to it by flying, start the quest, go to the next exclamation mark on the map. They aren't looking where they're going. It's, yeah, that's very much the thing. It's crazy how much of the world you don't see if you're just following the golden trail or looking at the exclamation marks. Took one guy 15 minutes to go from 7075 through quest. And it's such a shame, right? Because they've invested time into making that content in those worlds, and then a lot of times people just don't see it. One of the I mean, I'm not knocking WoW. WoW is a great Great game, obviously. But one of the first things that clicked for me was I was like, man, this game's really beautiful. But then I realized that if I wasn't being told to go there, all these little nooks and crannies I was exploring, there would be nothing there. There'd never be a rare there or whatever. It was just, I wasn't going to discover anything that I wasn't being told to go find. Right? Which here you'll find random rares and weird shit and mud interactions. I mean, hell, whoever it was earlier in the day when we first hopped in here and I hopped into this cave, he was like, we were camping near that cave and never knew it was there. And there's a whole bunch of other content that is there, right? Fishgut said, EQ is more of a thinking man's game. It mirrored life in a lot of ways. You had to learn a lot through experience. And there is something valuable to building up that experience, right? Being that person that if somebody asks you a question, you know where to find shit because it's just not intuitive or the quest was opaque. Fathom says, I remember an EQ is rude to inspect people without asking and people had full bios. Yeah, but that's awesome. How do I feel about the community making our own version of Alakazam? It's great. Rev Chumley's got a wiki already, and it's fantastic, and we appreciate it. When people are like, oh, but it's going to be put on a wiki or whatever, how do you prevent that? Like, why? Why? I love it. I love that communities build up around, you know, sites like Safe House and Alakazams and all this shit. Like, I think that's wonderful. I love that people take pride in finding stuff and posting it. Zukin said, I learned about some quests I didn't know about in M while watching someone stream. Sounds like there's a ton of content I haven't touched yet over in Sangri too. It'll start adding up pretty quickly as well. More and more, even within a design team, I know there'll be stuff that other designers aren't aware of that, you know, designers have put in. So, like I said earlier in the stream, I added some stuff last night in here that I'm excited about. But I'm not going to mention it on stream. There's just going to be more and more of that type of stuff. And a couple weeks ago, I added some stuff in a different area here. There's at least, I think, one event that people aren't aware of, and triggered events, and some other stuff going on. Some rares, like 5 different rares and stuff. So that's out there now. Never to be seen on stream. So I think I'm most concerned about losing the feeling of mystery once wikis get filled in and content creators start making guides. Yeah, but it's unavoidable. I think with our game, there's just going to be a lot of quirky shit that it's going to take even those guys time to find. So, but yeah, I mean, it's unavoidable. Smokey the Clown, thank you for the follow. Oh, that's not where you belong. You're interested in what that ravine is going to house in Sungreet? And one of these days you may get a little taste. There should already be some stuff there that should kill you. With the mini dungeon stuff that's been worked on lately, I'm thinking that might give us the opportunity to do some little things, low invest things, like different areas like that, where we want to show you a little something without doing the full blown dungeon yet or whatever. We can do it. So. Content creation has its pros and cons. It's bringing attention to what is right now a very niche game, but also shines a light on content people might want to experience for themselves. I think, though, if you don't engage with the content, you could probably minimize some of that, and you just end up dealing with anyone who might already be aware of the content group. Say, oh, if you come to this stream, I'm very unproductive, so I'm at least twice as productive off stream, but probably more like 5 or 6 times as productive. So honestly, the shit that you see on streams, I'm not gonna ruin too much for you. So, but yeah, we'll see. But that's just me. High Elves win? Not for a while. No, I know. I'm just saying generally. You may get a mix, but like if if my stream's any example, then there'll still be some mystery for you. Oops. Any plans for any sort of dungeon or raid encounters that would unlock after server-wide events or contributions from AQ? We were joking about one earlier today. Yeah. So the short answer is yes. But we were joking about a crazy one earlier today. And maybe having it tie into some of the other systems that we have. Daniel, thank you for the follow. I mean, because we could do stuff like that and have that type of a community sort of contribution unlock something like, specific location or event. We could have it unlock new trade skills. We could have it unlock new race class combo. We could have it unlock a new religion. So it can be that type of thing can factor into a number of different systems, not just straight content. Any decision between now and release whether I need it? Oh, okay. Corvus is saying I have to make a decision between now and release whether I want to be competitive and try to learn as much information externally as I can or stick figuring everything out. Yep, that is a decision for you to make. I mean, the hope is that we have a game that provides opportunities for competitive people to really feel like they've got a place and the worthwhile challenges. but hopefully the journey in leveling in this game and the exploration of the world is a big enough pull, and the game winds up landing with the right kind of vibe and design that makes it so that just that's not the default mindset or behavior, right? Like we don't want to make a game where everybody has to feel competitive in order to be a participant. Yeah, the rats are inside of green globes because I'm looking at their spawn points, and then I've just got that data layered over them. Yeah, they are spawned in after these are placed. But I reloaded the data in the zone, so they started popping in. If you put a single question mark over an NPC's head in Night Harbor and then never tie it to anything to talk how irritated he is, people. We should put a guy in who's just holding a staff that's got a question mark. Just a question mark staff, random dude. I think that breaks the fourth wall a little too much, but still. We take ourselves very seriously in game. Seriously or serious? What's proper English? I forget. A goblin with a little wooden sign with a question mark painted on it. That might work with goblins. Don't give bows graphic beyond stick, wide stick, and tall stick, please. I don't know if we can honor that. Bill said, Sean is a really good teacher in game design. I have learned a lot over the last 8 months. I appreciate that, Bill. I feel really bad because I don't think I've done a very good job at all, to be honest. It's been a wild year. But we'll keep working together on stuff, and I will share what I can. Oops, not last command. The active command 0. Are there languages being worked on? Do words like Scrivar mean anything currently? No, we don't have full languages fleshed out. I'm not gonna bullshit you. We played around with it a little bit, but it's a lot. Now they mean something, but not like in the true. We sat down and Tolkiened that shit, and there's a full like etymology that can go into or whatever. But we're like, these words mean this, but that may be the only words in the whole language. So, have some drunkard and ramble about lost treasure, and everyone says doesn't exist. Have players through the world, and oh, there's definitely gonna be tons of that stuff, and sometimes there'll actually even be treasures and stuff. Hey, Callum. Do Chanter's pets have form yet? Well, I thought it was only that a couple were missing. Oh, there he is. I was like, where is he? Okay. How do you balance classes in games like this? Is it mostly trial and error, or is there some big spreadsheet with a lot of formulas? Both. So we've got some big spreadsheets with a lot of formulas and big brains. Folks like Nick and Ali and Jason looking at that stuff. Then there's a lot of trial and error. A lot of looking at feedback and data from you guys. And a lot of realization that the game's never going to be perfectly balanced. So Mr. the Cow will probably do something along those lines. Any thoughts to making stats affect skills? Pantheon's been trying it. It's pretty cool. There's definitely work being done to make sure that stats have an impact. Nick just said, for ability balance, I have a balance spreadsheet that keeps track of certain metrics for me, and I keep a record of each iteration of the ability line. And I've got the feeling in the coming months you'll hear more and more on that front. Nick's schedule is freed up, and he is now working full time on the game, and he's pretty active in Discord and stuff. So if you keep an eye out, or if you use the search function in Discord, I've got the feeling you'll find out a lot more on stats and abilities and progression and things like that. He'll be your go-to. After the playtest, you or one of the other devs thank everyone for showing up. When is the next time you think guys might be saying such things? What day will we be saying thank you for playtesting? Sneaky Russian, did you see that? Nick responded to you. Any actual rats going to be put in this area? Or those cool undead ones? In here, right where these guys are, no, but deeper in, maybe. Hey, Chudster, what's going on? What in the world? Hey, Defiant Possum. I am feeling better, thank you. I don't even think I've coughed a single time this whole stream. Looking at the maps I've seen and now the zones being fleshed out, is it going to be possible to skirt the coastline all the way from Night Harbor to the Shoals zone? Yeah. Should. Once you get all the mobs set up, do you actually go in and play through the area and see how it works? Or do you let us do that? No, go in and pull mobs and kind of see what it feels like, and then not saying we've done all the areas, but we try to get in as we're playtesting more internally. We'll be upping our levels and playing more and more of these areas. We are eating Wendy's and catching you stream here at work. Nice. Hello, work. Chudster's work people. What did you get dude, what did you get from Wendy's? As you can tell, I am not a professional talker. Man, I haven't had a biggie meal in so long. Biggie fries. Biggie sweet tea. Man, that was the before I got the job at Sony, when I was still in Alabama. That was the splurge meal. I was so broke. What's my favorite chain in Germany? I don't really like to eat out. I don't eat fast food. My favorite chain in Germany. What have I had here? Yeah, I can't think of a specific chain. Chick-fil-A, if there was one nearby in Germany, that would be it. That'd be easy, Nick. That would be every time we're in the US at the airport, we wind up eating some Chick-fil-A. Yep. There's like this mystery KFC that every time we're driving in and out of town, we see it off in the distance, and we've never been there. Yeah, is there a chain? I can't think of anything. What's up, Robert? I'm trying to think of like if there's an actual chain, what would... No. Cause like what type of food would that be? What was I doing? I think I was looking for a pause. I don't, if I eat out, and I find some place that like doesn't make me sick, then I'll go back to that place, regularly. But I'm not. A lot of times when it comes, I'll experiment eating out at certain restaurants, only if they don't seem sketchy. But I'm not a big like, oh, I'm gonna try some random fast food and shit. I'm not that guy. I had a lot of stomach issues growing up, and I'm just not. Jasmine, she makes fun of me all the time because like if something sits in the fridge too long, there are very few things that if it's been in the fridge for more than a few days that I'll eat. And she mocks me, but I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have you make fun of me than get to shit. That's not my favorite way to spend my afternoon or evening. I think the last time I had Church's chicken, and I grew up loving Church's chicken, was in San Diego while I was working on EQ. I was like, man, I really want some Church's chicken. And I went to Church's Chicken, and sorry for those of you that are eating lunch right now and watching this, but yeah, I peed out my butt for like the next 4 hours that evening, and that was it. That was the last time I ate a Church's chicken. That may not be an appropriate story or appropriate description, but it is an adequate description of what happened. And then I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm good without that in my life. I don't need that. Of all the things I can experiment with or whatever, I'm good without like. What's that doing? Still a big fan of Costco hot dogs. $1.50. Yeah, every once in a while on Instagram, I'll get a meme that praising the guy for setting that price. Well deserved. My favorite thing, like back in the day, was just like when I was in San Diego. I think that was the last place that I ate Wendy's. It was like in San Diego where I stopped eating fast food, and that was kind of it. I mean, unless you count like a Torchy's Tacos in Austin as fast food, or like a Rudy's barbecue as fast food, I guess that counts. Those were like the last things I ate. Have I been to Kochlöffel? Don't think so. There is I think the Paulaner in Hamburg is, I think that's a chain, and I've been there a few times, but that's like just German food, like Schweinehaxe and things like that. Umtil asked, you're in Bremen, right? Do you like Grünkohl? I do, especially around the holidays when it's out. I'll hit a Grünkohl like stand or whatever. I still have never had a burger from In-N-Out. I've had In-N-Out when I was in San Diego. That was the last place. Oh, okay. Chains that I would hit if I was in America. So I would for sure eat at we were just talking about it, and now I'm vapor liking because I'm thinking of other places. I would for sure eat at Chick-fil-A. Easy. I would for sure eat at Crystal or White Castle and then immediately regret it, but I would do it. I do it every time. I can't stop myself. So there you go. Crystal Burger, White Castle, one of those two. I might, depending on how hungry we were or what's going on, I might eat at Arby's. Get an Arby's roast beef sandwich and then immediately regret it afterwards. Crystal Burger is so damn good until you're done, and then you're like, what did I just do? Why did I do that to myself? What have I done? Nick said, I've learned to apprentice, or appreciate, sorry, I was like, apprentice? You were an apprentice at White Castle? I just pictured the weirdest scenario went through my head. It was like, what was that Disney movie with the Wizard's Apprentice or whatever? Like, I just had this weird, like, Nick animated Disney cartoon, but he was Mickey Mouse apprenticing at White Castle, and it was both a castle and a burger joint. I don't know. All of that went through my mind at once. White Castle at 2 a.m. hits different. I know, but you know what? I'm asleep at 2 a.m. these days. Culver's, I might try out at some point. I think my dad mentioned Culver's a bunch, and so I might try it out just in honor of him. Arby's with the various sauces, I'm telling you. I always feel like shit after I eat it, but I'll do it. Hey, Lasava. Chicago deep dish, I have had in Chicago at a fan fair one year. In San Diego, I loved Wings and Things. In Austin, I loved Wings and Things, but I think it was completely different Wings and Things. I love chicken wings. We did go to a Hooters in Hamburg, which was kind of like I mean, it's not a big deal compared to the environment it was in. So, Bumtill, did you respond with something after you asked me if I was in Bremen? I don't see it. We'll probably eat a Philly cheesesteak while we're in Philly. While we're being mugged. What else? Munchies and memories. That'll be our snack food brand. Question, you guys plan on attending any events like E3 when launch is near? Probably not. If somehow we wind up making a game that a lot of people love and we do well, then we may attend a GDC just so we can give a GDC talk on how to make a game with no money that people really love. With no funding. And then we'll talk a lot of smack and then we'll leave. Philly ain't that bad. Just avoid like 2 neighborhoods and you're good. Most cities are like that though. I'm over exaggerating. If you like rye, I highly recommend Culver's Wisconsin Swiss Melt. Germany has spoiled me on bread. It's hard to top German bread. All right, Hindo. See you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Apprentice at White Castle. What did you actually say? I started laughing. I missed it. Appreciate. You've learned to appreciate White Castle. Okay. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, those burgers, I know they're horrendous and they're probably made with the worst floor scraps of beef and it's just bad news. But man, there's something about White Castles and Crystals that those little burgers, when I'm driving, been on the road a while and I see it, I'm like, I bet I could eat like 40 of those. And that's, my brain's just like, I bet I could eat 40 of those. And, or actually, I guess my stomach says that. And then my brain's like, yeah, that's a good idea. And then we park and we eat like 40 of them. And then it's just like, it's just pure regret. What am I doing? Go home. German chocolate cake in the U.S. the same as Germany? They have no concept of German chocolate cake. Like American German chocolate cake is not it's not real. It's an American thing, but it's delicious. That coconut stuff. It is tasty, but that's not a real thing. Do the same thing with Jack in the Box tacos. I know I do not need them, but I always have to get like 40 of them every time. Yeah, that makes sense. There are so many. Oh gosh, I take pictures sometimes of just. I think I might. Oh, my phone's dying. You're not gonna be able to see it. Shit. 3%. Oh well. I'll post in Discord or something at some point a picture of just even the hardware store we go to has an incredible bakery. There's so many incredible bakeries here. There's like 4 bakeries within 2 blocks of my house, and we go to the hardware store and they've got a bakery before you go in, like right in front, and you just look and it's just this 25-foot long glass case of all these different cakes and pastries, and behind it's just stacks and rows of different breads, like 20 different breads, and then all these different sandwiches and open-faced sandwiches and all this shit. It's just like, oh my gosh, man. It's so good. Yep, this guy needs to be fixed. It is incredible. It's one of the reasons why I had to stop drinking alcohol, because I just needed to allocate more calories. More of my empty calories had to go towards pastries. Now that my hand is healed, and now that my shoulder is working again, I can fire it up again. Then I can start working out again. And then I can really afford to eat some pastries. Next year, 2024 is going to be the year. Oh, wait, it's 2024. Shit. 2025 is going to be... I am not in charge of the schedule. 2025 is going to be the year of me eating a lot of pastries. Can't believe it. It's 2024? Okay, take back everything I said earlier in the stream. I don't know about early access. I don't know if it's going to happen. Sorry. I should just click the end stream button and on that note. That'd be hilarious. And then he said, I don't know if early access is going to happen. And he logged out. Discord would be on fire. I would actively avoid it. Like grabbing that grenade and tossing it into Discord. There you go, Nick. Have fun. Yeah, 2025. Do it right before vacation so you don't have to deal with it. Yeah. No, that's no fun. Yeah, that's not a... No, because then it would just... I'd get off my flight and my notifications would be huge. Because it wouldn't just be like Discord notifications. It'd be the team yelling at me. I'd get off the flight and be fired. Daniel, I don't think I thanked you for the follow 30 minutes ago. I apologize for that. Do the, oh yeah, no. Mr. Cow, it'd be like, if I really wanted to start chaos, I would just set up a whole new web page announcing our microtransactions and free-to-play model. And then send the link out to the mailing list and post it on Discord. Oh shit, the server's coming down in 10 seconds. Doop doop doop. Server's coming down to open the gates. Unfortunately, no. I don't think that's the surprise. But in all seriousness, we do want to get you in here soon. I know lots have asked, but do you have any idea how many more test plays we might get before the end of the year? I have no idea. I mean, we still got what, 4 months? Nine, 10, 11, 12, yeah. If I had to guess, probably a few. Problem with microtransactions is that so many people do it. I don't know. It's just a choice. It's just a business model choice. It's just a choice. So for us, it's, you know, like we've always said, anything that we would sell or provide as like a, what do they call it when you, like, you know, the stuff that backers get, like if you look at like Ashes of Creation or whatever, the problem that I see with that is that's all stuff that you could be earning in game, right? Just through playing. So the more stuff that we have that you're not able to just acquire through, you know, like paying money or whatever, that's all stuff that we can stash into little quirky quests or on rares and ultra rares and all that stuff. It's just, why not just do it that way? Do you think we could end up seeing all of our characters on selection screen hanging out together? We had an old mock-up for something like that, like a long time ago. Goblin did something like that. It's come up since then, and I think every time it comes up we're like, oh, that's kind of a neat idea. So I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility. Was there an update? Do I need to pull anything? I do need to pull. Irate Turk, are you looking at my screen and getting inappropriately excited? That's not what that means. Inappropriately excited. That might not be the right choice of English. My bad. What's up, Brent? So I'm waiting on this to do its thing. I can pull latest. Let me check. Hopefully nobody's needing the zones I've got checked out. I don't think so. How much programming do you need to know generally to get into game design? You typically, it always helps to know a bit, because depending on the tool set that you're working with, it may or may not benefit from some understanding of a programming language or a scripting language. That said, design's a broad enough field that you could get into design without being technical in that sense at all. You don't have to be a programmer. There are narrative designers, there are encounter designers, and again, depending on the tool set, you may not need to know any scripting or anything like that. Some tools or teams have visual scripting systems where it's more about logic than it is about programming. The programming's all being handled underneath the hood for you. Depending like our tool set, if you know SQL or something like that, it's a plus. But I think you could come in pretty, pretty much as someone that's not technical at all and learn our tools pretty quickly. If you're a narrative designer, then your understanding of characterization and dialogue and things like that are helpful. If you're a world builder, I would say if you're coming from like a tabletop, like pen and paper background, and you're good at sort of like systems thinking in that way, or you're structured thinking in that structured thinker in that way, you could do fine, right? We work with Hamad on a lot of the world building, and he's not a technical guy, but we are also not talking technical stuff a lot of the time. Let's see what else. There are folks that are very systems focused, but again, even then they don't necessarily need to be programmers. They may be somebody that's looking more from they may be somebody that's good with math, good with tools like spreadsheets, the ability within spreadsheets to build different calculators, simulators. Again, a lot of it just comes back to logic. On the system side, you may also be looking at, if you've got some understanding of UX and the player-facing part of different systems, right? Like how is the player actually interacting with the system, like a trade skill system or the core interface, or even things like inventory ability selection, that'll wind up being a design role. You could be somebody that's potentially more inclined to be artistic, right? And so you may get more into level design and have like an innate sense of like player flow, and really start to learn about like how choke points work, player flow works, how you can sort of carry people through levels and things based off of points of interest, landmark, the way that you're controlling flow, right? So yeah, it's design is super broad, and you may be on a team that's a smaller team where you've got to put on a lot of different hats. You may be on a bigger team where you you're the person that's focused on not even systems but this system, right? Like there are design teams out there where you could be the sole designer on a game and programmer and artist, or you could be one of 40 or 50 designers on a project. We'd love to work in systems design or mechanics design. Cool, yeah. And that's the thing, like I tell people that are interested in it, once you've got the realization that it exists, then you can really, there's enough meat on any one of those things for you to like really dig in. And because like systems design or mechanics design, even those two things, you may look at mechanics design and go, okay, looking at different moment-to-moment gameplay mechanics, right? And there's so much just right there, right? Because you're also talking about across different genres. So is it moment-to-moment FPS? Is it RTS? Is it, MMO design? And in the MMOs design, is it a lot of, is it the specific mechanics of like the detail of an ability or a class, or is it the mechanics that create the framework in which encounters occur, right? On the flip side, like systems, again, you can use video games as a reference, but then you can also get into pen and paper and other sources of systems and see, both where that overlap has been traditionally, or if there's something that you can pull in that's new. So Yeah, there's a ton of shit there, dude. Been working on your own trading card game. Does that translate in any meaningful way to video game design? Yeah, absolutely. I would say, you know, depending on the game, if you look at, I mean, look at the design of something like Magic, and then you can easily translate that over into class ability design, things like that. So, see you, Sarenth. I'm probably not going to be on much longer either. It's almost my bedtime, and I have been streaming for 3 hours and 10 minutes, so it's not a bad welcome back. But yeah. So think about it that way, right? Like, because the ability balance and things of that nature, and like, you know, with trading card game, odds are there's a ton of different vectors for balance in the individual cards, in the individual what is it? What are they called? Like not houses, colors, themes, sets, whatever. Right, and you can kind of look at how they've handled balance and the kind of big paper rock scissors nature of it, and then see how that might apply to something that is a RPG class or is a team shooter, right? So. But yeah, on that note, not that note, but on the note of me saying goodnight to Sarenth. Now that I think about it, server just bounced. I'm at an okay stopping point with the stuff that I was doing. I'll come back in tomorrow and actually try to get that whole area knocked out really quick while I'm not on stream. Then we can do something else on Friday. I'll be back on Friday. I'm going to go for now, even though it is not. I mean, it's 12 minutes to 11, so. So it's been a decently long night tonight. Fun to be back. I haven't seen you guys in a while, so it's nice to be back and talk to you. And we'll pick it back up on Friday. And if there's any info on a playtest, you'll get it soon. You guys have a great night. Let me say goodbye. Sneaky Russian, goodbye. I miss you too, Les Biscuits. Believe it or not, I think about people like you even when I'm not streaming, and want to make sure you're doing okay. Fielder, thank you. See ya. Ida, see ya. Tannhauser, Choose. You're welcome, Chili Sauce. I'm glad to be back. Eating around. Good to talk to you tonight. Later, Nick. See ya, Bill. Fathom. Night Zukin. Thanks for being. I think you were first here tonight, Talit. So thanks for being here. Snail Juice. Thanks for the follow 15 days ago. I see it over here on the side. Hopefully that wasn't the last time I was here. Dia Corvus. Okay, I'll take a look, Liz. See ya, Chinny D. Zarkin. Corvid, you are very welcome. Jew Daddy, have a great night. Brent, good to see you, buddy. Later, Robert. All right, guys, if that's it, then I'm going to bounce for tonight, and I will see you on Friday. Thanks for being here. See ya, Loophole. And I am out. Later, Dozakar. Bye, Corvid.